The US and China, the world's two largest economies, are locked in a trade war that impacts everyone. This isn't just a government dispute, it affects global prices, jobs, and economic stability. When these giants clash, the shockwaves hit every corner of the world. Everyday products, from smartphones to cars, rely on supply chains that run through both countries. Disruptions mean shortages, higher costs, and uncertainty for all. The conflict began over accusations of unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. The US imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, making them more expensive. China retaliated with its own tariffs, escalating tensions. This tit-for-tat has pushed the world to the brink of a major economic crisis. The stakes are higher than ever, with threats of unprecedented tariffs and strategic moves over critical resources. This is more than economics. It's a power struggle that could reshape global alliances and trade rules for decades. Decisions in Washington and Beijing now directly impact the global flow of goods and money. As of October 13, 2025, both sides are digging in, and the world is watching, anxious for what comes next. The outcome will shape the future of international commerce. Understanding this conflict is essential. It's a local story for everyone. The trade war escalated when former President Trump threatened a 100% tariff on all Chinese imports. This would double the price of Chinese goods for American buyers, electronics, clothing, furniture, and more. The threat sent shockwaves through financial markets, raising fears of a trade blockade and recession. Supporters argue only extreme pressure will force China to change its trade policies. Years of smaller tariffs haven't worked, so the US is upping the ante. The goal: create enough economic pain for China to force concessions. But many business leaders and economists warn that American consumers will pay the price through higher costs. US companies relying on Chinese manufacturing would be hit hard. The threat has drawn a sharp line, forcing everyone to consider the reality of a complete economic split. It's a high-risk gamble with no guaranteed winner. The world is now bracing for the possibility of a total decoupling between the two superpowers. The stakes have never been higher. The next move could change the global economy forever. Wall Street's reaction to the tariff threat was swift and severe. Stock markets plunged, with tech, retail, and manufacturing companies hit hardest. Investors panicked, fearing a global economic slowdown and disrupted supply chains. The volatility index spiked, reflecting deep anxiety about a US-China collision. Then, a glimmer of hope. President Trump hinted at possible compromise, praising President Xi. Markets rebounded instantly, showing how sensitive investors are to every word and tweet. This roller coaster highlights the fragility of the global economy. Extreme volatility makes it nearly impossible for businesses to plan ahead. The uncertainty itself is damaging, as markets swing between panic and optimism. Every development in the trade war is now a market-moving event. Financial stability is tied directly to unpredictable political drama. The world's economy is on edge, waiting for the next headline. China didn't flinch at the 100% tariff threat. Beijing responded with defiance, declaring it won't be bullied and is ready to defend its interests. China vowed strong countermeasures if the US moves forward. This standoff has the world watching as both sides dare each other to act. China's message: it can withstand economic pain and strike back just as hard. Beijing urged the US to return to fair negotiations, framing itself as a defender of global trade. China's stance is calculated, to win support from other nations wary of US protectionism. By appearing resolute but reasonable, China aims to isolate the US diplomatically. China's confidence comes from its economic power and central role in global supply chains. It's ready to support domestic industries, find new markets, and leverage control over critical resources. The message is clear: China won't accept terms dictated by others. This is a test of national will, not just trade policy. The world is witnessing a new era of economic rivalry. The outcome will redefine global power dynamics. China unveiled a new weapon: export controls on rare earth minerals. These 17 elements are essential for high-tech products, from smartphones to military systems. China dominates global supply, giving it a powerful bargaining chip. The move is a direct response to US tariff threats, targeting critical American industries. By squeezing rare earth exports, China can disrupt US tech and defense production. These controls are flexible. China can tighten or loosen them as negotiations progress. The US was caught off guard, adding tension to the standoff. This isn't just about finished goods anymore. It's a battle over the raw materials powering modern technology. China's leverage exposes a key US vulnerability. The trade war has become a strategic contest, not just an economic one. China is prepared to use every tool at its disposal. The conflict now reaches deep into the foundations of the global economy. The stakes have never been higher for both sides. The trade war's impact is personal. It hits your wallet. Tariffs mean higher prices for everyday goods, from TVs to sneakers. American companies importing from China pay the tax, often passing costs to consumers. Small businesses relying on Chinese parts face tough choices: absorb costs or raise prices. For some, massive tariffs could mean going out of business. Global supply chains are thrown into chaos, forcing companies to scramble for new suppliers. Shifting operations is slow and expensive, creating bottlenecks and uncertainty. The result: reduced trade, slower growth, and job losses worldwide. Even countries not directly involved feel the pain as global demand drops. The interconnected economy means everyone is affected by a US-China fight. The longer the conflict drags on, the greater the risk of a global downturn. No one is immune to the fallout. The trade war's real cost is paid by people everywhere. Amid rising threats, delicate diplomacy is underway. Both sides mix tough talk with hints of compromise, keeping the world guessing. The upcoming APEC summit is a crucial chance for President Trump and President Xi to meet face to face. A successful summit could pause new tariffs and restart negotiations. Failure could trigger further escalation and signal that a diplomatic solution is slipping away. Each statement and gesture is a calculated move in a high-stakes game of political chess. The US wields tariffs. China leverages rare earths and its vast market. The world is watching, hoping for statesmanship over confrontation. The outcome will determine if the two giants can coexist or drag the global economy into deeper conflict. The stakes for this meeting couldn't be higher. The world's future may hinge on what happens next. The conflict has moved beyond trade imbalances. A 100% tariff would be a near-total economic blockade, pushing both countries into uncharted territory. China's rare earth controls weaponize its grip on critical resources, shifting the fight to national security. And the cycle of action and reaction is creating a dangerous spiral. Trust is eroding, making negotiation harder. The struggle is now about global economic and technological dominance. The risk of a long-term decoupling grows, threatening to split the world into rival economic blocs. This would reverse decades of globalization and create lasting instability. The consequences could reshape the world order for years to come. The stakes are global, and the risks are profound. The future of US-China relations is uncertain, and the world is holding its breath. The immediate question: will the 100% tariffs become reality as the November deadline approaches? If imposed, expect swift Chinese retaliation and global market turmoil. Yet some analysts see these moves as negotiating tactics, leverage before a possible deal. The APEC summit is the best hope for a breakthrough. A successful meeting could reset the course. Failure could deepen the crisis. A prolonged trade war would disrupt industries, destroy jobs, and poison international relations. The conflict could spill into technology, security, and geopolitics, risking a new Cold War. The world needs leadership and compromise to avoid catastrophe. The hope: both sides realize they're too interconnected to separate without massive damage. The world watches, hoping for wisdom to prevail.